It's becoming increasingly more common in today's age. It's burnout, mental health issues, just exhaustion. And I think it happens for a number of reasons. I don't think you could pinpoint one thing, but I think one of the big reasons is we are so caught up in trying to be somebody in life. There's a really good quote that I like, and it's you're not tired because you're doing too much. You're tired because you're doing too little of what sparks a light in you, or something like that. Basically, you're doing too little of what is actually aligned with your authentic self. And it kind of ties into something that Jim Carrey said once, which is kind of talked about depression. And he said, depression is deep rest. You need deep rest from playing this character in life, because we all play a character. We come into this planet, come onto this world, we're born, and our mind is conditioned with these ideas and these thoughts and this self-concept, and we go through life living that way. And there's a lot of pressure on people these days to have to be somebody. Otherwise you won't be wanted or desirable, or whatever it is. You won't get a job, or you won't, whatever. There's all kinds of reasons. And I think social media has definitely contributed to this, because everyone's, posting their highlight reels on social media. They're putting out this life that's just all smoke and mirrors, making it seem like, their life is here, but, it's actually here, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I think that it's contributing to this exhaustion, this deep rest, this depression that many of people are experiencing, and it's leading to burnout, because how could you possibly keep up with that? It's like a hamster wheel that is gradually going faster and faster and faster, and eventually you can't keep up. You stumble, you fall, you got to get off. And what happens when you get off is you feel lost. It's like a midlife crisis. It's like you don't know what to do, because we've been living this way for such a long period of time, where you need to keep doing the next thing and the next thing to keep up with the Joneses, or again, be somebody, keep up this self-image, the self-concept, or continue to try and expand it by making more money, by, trying to look better, trying to improve yourself in some way, trying to have a nicer house or a better car or more material possessions or the nicer vacation. It's never ending. And it really is the recipe for burnout. It's the rat race, because if you're in a certain circle of people, this person's doing something, and it's like, oh, well, I need to be doing the same thing, because, their kids have this, so I need to give my kids the same thing. If I don't, then I'm a failure as a parent. Whatever it is, I think a lot of people experience this in their own lives, in their own unique manifestation or expression of this, but it kind of comes down to the same thing, and it's this needing to be somebody, needing to try to fill some sort of void by filling this or expanding the self-concept, rather than just returning back to your most authentic self and being comfortable with that, being okay with who you are. Instead of facing ourselves, we try to expand ourselves. And you can't expand yourself to the point where and add all these things to yourself, the self-concept in your life externally, that it does the work for you in facing yourself. The only way to do that is by doing the work in the moment, by sitting with yourself, by being aware of what is actually driving you, what has driven you, what are the intentions behind the actions. They say actions speak louder than words, but I think intentions are the real king of it all, queen of it all, if you will, they really dictate everything. The intentions behind the actions. You know, there was a time when I used to go to the gym because I wanted to be somebody. I felt like I had to look a certain way, and when I looked that way, then I'd be okay. But I ended up looking that way. I ended up, getting the abs or getting the muscles or getting in shape. But I didn't really feel any different on a deep level, because that work can only be done by facing ourselves, not by sticking something on top of it. It's like a Band-Aid effect. It's like a leaky pipe and you just put some duct tape over top of it, hoping that it'll fix the problem. Oh, and then it starts leaking, and so you put another piece of duct tape on it, or a bigger piece of duct tape. That's the way many of us live our lives, but the pipe is still leaking. The problem is still there. And eventually it comes out. It comes out because we can't keep running away from ourselves in life. You can't. Wherever you go, there you are. The only way out is through. I love that quote. You got to face it. And this is what nervous system regulation is. It's facing that wounded inner child, if you will. A lot of this comes down to self-worth, shame, and then it projects itself as fear, and being driven by fear because we're not enough. And by acquiring more things or expanding this self-concept, this ego, maybe then we'll be enough. That's kind of the subconscious processing that goes on, which drives us to do all these things in a lot of ways. I'm not saying to stop doing these things. I'm saying I think it's important to come back to the intentions of why we're doing it in the first place. The intentions are again what is the most important thing. I think that what I've noticed in my life is whatever urges you act on, whatever compulsions you act on, whether they're conscious or subconscious, if you act on them, you will strengthen the source of those urges or those compulsions. So take myself, for example, when I was going to the gym and I felt this lack of confidence or lack of worth within myself. And when I was going to the gym during that period of time, needing to get to a certain point and then thinking that I'd feel better about myself, I only strengthened that low self-worth within. The way to break the cycle is by being aware of the intention that is driving the urges, the limiting beliefs, the low self-worth, the shame, and not acting on it, but simply being aware of it. Holding that in the space of awareness, which is yourself. Expanding your capacity to hold that wounded inner child, if you will. Those limiting beliefs, that low self-worth, and how it's manifesting. This is largely what causes us to live life the way we do and causes the burnout. Because we're scared that if we don't continue to act on these things, well, then we're not going to be anyone. Truth is, you don't have anyone to be but yourself. And it's the most liberating thing, because when you can just be who you are without any fear that it's not going to be enough, or even shame or anything, life is light. Life is good. You got no one to impress. You just are. And you're more able to do the things that are aligned with you, and maybe even the things that are meant for you. To follow your intuition, to follow your heart, to play to your strengths in life. Because a lot of times we don't play to our strengths. We don't follow our hearts. We don't follow that intuitive call within, because we don't really think it's going to work out. And, it's not going to enhance our self-concept, this ego, the same way that something else would, Like, for example, imagine someone that they were super passionate about art or painting. And in their mind, they're like, oh, well, I could never make money doing that. So, I'm gonna be an engineer or something, or I'm gonna be a lawyer. But they and the notion of being an engineer or a lawyer, in a traditional sense is, it's a well-paying job, it's well respected. And I think it's changing. This has changed over time, but again, in more of that traditional mindset, it's like, well, being an artist, maybe maybe it's not nearly as respected in some ways. To go out and follow your heart and do that and follow that path. So we don't do it. But when you're okay with who you are, you're okay with just being yourself, and just you fall into alignment. You fall into your most authentic self. You're not scared of doing these things because it's you. And you realize that you're just a unique expression of infinite consciousness, God, whatever it is. And that in and of itself is divine, is more than enough. There is no one to be. There's nothing to chase. There's nowhere to strive to. There's no destination. There's just being. There's just right now. And you are the way. You are the way to inner peace. You don't need another book. You don't need this video even. You don't need a podcast. Sometimes these things can help expand our awareness, but the work is in the moment with that stuff that comes up that we try to put duct tape over, put a Band-Aid over top of by trying to get bigger muscles or, nicer hair or, more money or a partner or something. But what it is, it's that unloved self within that we're running away from. And the only thing that can fix that or heal that is you. That's why you are the way. You are the one that has to come back to that unloved self within and do the work to overcome that, to break the cycles and the patterns and the unconscious ways that it has driven your life and your behaviors, which has often led us to, again, this exhaustion, this burnout, this sense of depression or lack of fulfillment in life, lack of meaning. We lose ourselves because we've fallen off the hamster wheel, the one that has been the way that we've lived our life for so long, but we can't keep it up. So if you're tired of living this way, just know that there's no one to be. No one to be but you. The work is within, in the moment, right now. Breathing, expanding the capacity to hold some of these difficult things that we've ran away from through nervous system regulation. And that is only done in the moment, right now, by sitting with it, by expanding awareness, by breathing. It's probably the most important work. It's self-mastery. And I've said it in other videos. It's my philosophy in life. It's we are the only constant in life. To not have mastery over this is to leave so much of life and our potential in life untouched, unexamined. So know that there's no one to be, nowhere to be, but here, now. It doesn't mean you don't do anything. You still take action. You still put one foot in front of the other. You still chop wood, carry water. But the intentions change. Your state of being changes. Presence fills you rather than fear or scarcity or lack or low self-worth or shame or whatever it is. And you begin to alchemize those things. You turn those things into something else. You transform them. And from here you begin to elevate. You begin to elevate your consciousness, expand your consciousness, raise your vibration. You transform. This is the path. There's a lot of things out there that they're just distractions away from this path of you, facing you. And eventually, we can't keep running away. We have to face ourselves. We have the choice to face ourselves or not. And I think it's the most worthwhile choice you can make. It'll shift everything in your life. The way you live your life, your state of being, the way you show up in relationships. It'll change the relationships that you have, who you surround yourself with. Your whole life will begin to change externally because you have changed your internal world. You've cleaned it up. So I hope this helps, and I'll see you in the next video.